I was born in 1980 and lived in the USSR for 11 years. It was a special time. Everything was somehow easy. Everyone knew each other. The same people lived in the same apartments for many years. And maybe they still do, dragging the past behind them. I remember the old cemetery, where many grandparents I knew from the yard, kindergarten teachers, teachers at school, were buried. I lived in Ukraine, in the city of Donetsk, and although I have been living in Moscow for many years, I consider Ukraine my home. Once a year I go there to see old acquaintances and relatives. It seems that nothing has changed there. The same old neighbors, the same old salesmen in the stores left over from the Soviet era. Everyone is in their 50s and 60s. What I remember most from my childhood is my school. It was an unforgettable time. I went to a very good school with quite interesting people. My first girlfriend was there. My first friends were there too. What I remember most is junior high. It was fun. We didn't have phones or set-top boxes or anything like that yet. The fun of today's kids is nothing like the fun we had, walking around for days on end. It was a great time. But I had one not-so-pleasant experience there. It was the first and hopefully last time I ever encountered the supernatural. And I can't forget it to this day. I was probably in the 6th or 7th grade. I was 12 years old. As always, we went out late with the boys. Everything was lit up and quite safe back then. My parents let me go. The time was about 11:30 in the evening. We sat in the yard and told stories about ghosts. I believed in all this and was not particularly frightened, and the youthful maximalism gave about itself. I was not afraid of anything. And somehow we got into an argument. There was a school not far from my yard. It was in a very bad condition, and the learning conditions were also terrible. The goal was to get into the school from the front door, past the guard, run to the 3rd floor of the school. There were 3 of them. Open a window and look out of it. It was pitch black in the school. The whole thing was just on the weak, and since I really didn't like to feel weak or give others reason to doubt my courage, I volunteered to go there. As soon as I agreed to do it, I immediately felt my authority among the guys. We had a company of 7, grow. At the same time, I could also tease the others, say, "You are a coward, a weakling, afraid." And it gave me a pleasant feeling of superiority. Though in school in the first grades I was a victim of strong bullying. And I went to the old school on this wave. Standing on the veranda near the door, I looked out the window. The watchman was asleep at his desk, very soundly. I cautiously opened the door and crept into the lobby. In a supine position, I crawled past the guard, went behind the wall, and stood on my feet. My friends were already waiting for me in the courtyard by the window. I had to make my move. I was now on the 1st floor near the principal's office. It was very dark, and I didn't have a flashlight with me. I made my way by feel to the stairs to the 2nd floor. In 3 minutes I was already there. I walked very slowly, for one wrong move, and I could fall down or stumble, for it was pitch black. I reached the 2nd floor, and 10 minutes later I went up to the 3rd floor. As soon as I stepped on the 3rd floor, one of my friends shouted from below, "Run away! Run downstairs!" I became anxious. Just as I started to descend, I heard a shout from the courtyard on the opposite side. Several windows were open. It was the same friend who had just called me back. "Stop! Don't go anywhere. Stay where you are and don't move." This is where I wasn't just scared anymore. I was, to put it bluntly, shitting my pants. It was fucking terrifying. There was another scream from downstairs. "Run faster. I'm right here. Don't listen to anyone." I didn't know what to do, who to believe, or where I should run, go downstairs, or jump out the window. I didn't know where my real friends were. I just stood there crying. Again there was a shout from below. "No one is standing in the yard. We're all standing here." Then came the voice of several other guys from our company. "We're all downstairs. Don't go near the window. Don't. We're going up." Suddenly there was a wild roar, and the whole company shouted with glee, "Run! I yelled hysterically and just ran forward without looking out the window. I didn't get down. I didn't listen to either side, and I acted in defiance of both sides. From downstairs, someone was coming up. "Don't go near the window. Don't go forward," was being said from up there. At the same time, there came a shout from the window. "Jump." I ran into a dead end. The bottom was coming up, and I screamed and cried. Suddenly, I fumbled for the doorknob. There was a door at the end of the hallway. I opened it and quickly slammed it shut behind me. I found myself in a back room of some sort. There were steps up to the attic and down to the basement. I climbed up into the attic and threw it to the roof, and then I almost had a stroke. The whole company was sitting on the roof. I yelled, "Stay away from me." One of my friends ran up to me and, hitting me in the shoulder with all his might, hissed, "Shut up. Are you an asshole?" We climbed up here on the fire escape as soon as we heard someone calling for you at school. I wondered, wait, who was standing by the window? We didn't even get there in time. At first we went behind the school. We wanted to go around. And then we heard our own voices and were terrified. I was shocked, a real shock. The voices below had quieted down, but we were still afraid to look down. We sat like that until 7 o'clock in the morning, when people started to walk outside. Some of them even noticed us. We got off the roof and never remembered the story out loud again. But I remembered that night forever.